Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Srila Shri Nam Sankirtan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu त्वयि सति किन्नृणां श्रेयत आत्मनि सर्वरसे इति सद् अजानतां मिथुनतो रतये चरताम् सुखयति को इह स्वविहते स्वनिरस्त भागे word to word meaning. Swajana with servants, Sutta children, Atma body, Dara wife, Dhana money, Dhama home, Dhara land, Asu vitality, Rathai and vehicles. Tvai when you, Sati, have become, Kim what use, Nirnam for human beings, Shreyata who are taking shelter, Atmani their very self, Sarvarase the embodiment of all pleasures, Iti thus, Sat the truth, Ajanatam for those who fail to appreciate, Mithunata from sexual combinations, Rataye for sensual indulgence, Charatam carrying on, Sukhayati gives happiness, Ka what, no at all, Iha in this world, Swa by its very nature, Vihate which is subject to destruction, Swa by its very nature, Nirasta which is devoid, Bhage of any essence. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, disciples ki jai. Translation. To those persons who take shelter of you, you reveal yourself as the Super Soul, the embodiment of all transcendental pleasure. What further use have such devotees for their servants, children or bodies, their wives, money or houses, their land, good health or conveyance. For those who fail to appreciate the truth about you and go on pursuing the pleasure of sex, what could there be in this entire world, a place inherently doomed to destruction and devoid of significance, that could give them real happiness? Purport. Devotional service to Lord Vishnu is considered pure when one's sole desire is to please the Lord. Situated in that perfect consciousness, a Vaishnava has no further interest in worldly gains and is thus excused from any obligations to perform ritual sacrifices and follow austere practices of yoga. As the Mundaka Upanishad states, Parikshya lokan karmachitan brahmano nirvedam ayan nasti akrita kritena. When a Brahmana recognizes that elevation to the heavenly planets is merely another accumulation of karma, he becomes renounced and is no longer corrupted by his actions. The Brihad Aranyakya 4.4.9 and Katha 6.14 Upanishad confirms, Yada sarve pramuchyante kama ye asya hidi shrita atha martyo amrito bhavati atra brahma samashnate. When a person completely gives up all the sinful desires he is harboring in his heart, he exchanges mortality for eternal spiritual life and attains real pleasure in absolute truth. And the Gopal Tapani Upanishad Purva 15 concludes, Bhakterasya bhajanam tat iha mutropadhi nairashyena mushmim manakalpam etat eva naishkarmyam. Devotional service is the process of worshipping the Supreme Lord. It consists of fixing one's mind upon Him by becoming disinterested in all material designations, both in this life and the next. This indeed is true renunciation. The items of Shrutis mentioned here are all measures of worldly success. Swajana, the servants. Atma, a beautiful body. Suta, children to be proud of. Dara, an attractive and competent spouse. Dhanam, financial assets. Dham, a prestigious residence. Dhara, holding of land. Asava, health and strength. And Rathi, cars and other vehicles that displays one's status. But one who has begun to experience the ecstasy of devotional service loses all attraction for these things, since he finds real satisfaction in the Supreme Lord, the reservoir of all pleasures, who enjoys by sharing his own pleasure with his servitors. We are each free to choose the course of our life. We can either dedicate our body, mind, words, talents and wealth to the glory of God, or else we can ignore Him and struggle instead for our personal happiness. The second path leads to the life of slavery to sex and ambition, in which the soul never feels real satisfaction, but instead suffers continually. Vaishnavas are distressed to see materialists suffering in this way, and so they always strive to enlighten them. Srila Swami prays, Bhajato hi bhavan sakshat parmananda chidadhana atmaiva kim atakrityam tuchadara sutabdidhi. For those who worship you, you become their very self, their spiritual treasure of topmost bliss. What further use have they for mundane wives, children, and so forth? Also, the management has asked us to also cover text number 35. So I will also read text 35, translation and purport, which is actually these two verses have deep connection also, as we discussed. But right now we'll recite text 35, translation and purport also, as instructed. Bhuvi puru punyatirtha sadanani vishayo vidam das tauta bhavat padambhujahido gha phit angari jala dadati sakran manastvaya atmani nitya sukhe na punarupasate purushasara haravasantham. Translation. Sages free from false pride live on this earth by frequenting the sacred pilgrimage sites and those places where Supreme Lord displayed His pastimes. Because such devotees keep your lotus feet within their hearts, the water that washes their feet destroys all sins. Anyone who even once turns his mind toward you, the ever blissful soul of all existence, no longer dedicates himself to serving family life at home, which simply robs a man of his good qualities. Purport. The qualification of an aspiring sage is that he has learnt about the absolute truth from the standard authorities and developed a sober mood of renunciation. To develop his capacity for discriminating the important from the unimportant, such a person often wanders from one holy site to another, taking advantage of the association of the great souls who frequent or reside in these places. If in the course of his travels the aspiring sage can begin to realize the Supreme Lord's lotus feet in the core of his heart, he will be released from the illusion of false ego and from the painful bondage of lust, envy and greed. Though he may still go to the holy place of pilgrimage to bathe away his sins, the now purified sage has the power to sanctify others with the water that washes his feet and with the realized instructions he imparts. Such a sage is described in the Mundak Upanishad 2.2.9. Vidyate hridaya granthis siddhante sarva samshaya shiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. The knot in the heart is pierced, all misgivings are cut to pieces, and the chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the Supreme Lord everywhere within all superior and inferior beings. To sages who have reached this stage, the Mundak Upanishad 3.2.11 thus pays homage. Namah Paramarishabhaya. Namah Paramarishabhaya. Obeisances to the topmost sages. Obeisances to the topmost sages. Putting aside the affectionate company of wives, children, friends, and followers, saintly Vaishnavas travel to the holy dhams, where the Supreme Lord's worship can be most successfully prosecuted. Places such as Vrindavan, Mayapur and Jagannath Puri, or anywhere else where the sincere devotees of Lord Vishnu congregate. Even those Vaishnavas who have not taken sannyas and still live at home or in their Guru's ashram, but who have once tasted just a drop of sublime pleasure of devotional service, will also have little inclination to meditate on the pleasure of materialistic family life, which robs a person of his discretion, determination, sobriety, tolerance and peace of mind. Srila Sridhar Swami prays. Manchananga tatanga sangam anisham tvam eva sanchintyan santa santi yato gata madastan ashraman avasan nityam tanmukha pankajat vigalita tvat punyagathamrita shrota samplava sampluto narahare nasyamaham dehabhrit. My dear Lord, when I will give up all sense gratification and engage incessantly in meditating upon you, and when I will take up the residence in the hermitages of the saintly devotees free from false pride, then I will become fully immersed in the inundation of nectar pouring from the devotees' lotus mouths as they chant sacred narrations about you. And then, O Lord Narhari, I will never again have to take a material body. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Barijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyat Desatarine Nityananda Mahamnami Sarvananda Karamparam Harinama Pradam Devam Avadhuta Shuromani Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratase Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यं जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam panghum langhayate girim Yat kripatam ham bande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. I humbly seek blessings of all the assembled devotees here, especially Vrindavan Charya Prabhu, Gaurang Srinam Prabhu, Anand Bhagavan Prabhu, and all the assembled devotees, so that we may be able to speak on this beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam for the purification of our heart, for the glorification of the Lord and His devotees, as a service to all the Vaishnavas and for the benefit of everyone. So the final conclusion, these verses, the prayers of personified Vedas, these are like the final conclusions of the Vedas. And as we are hearing from the Vedas personified, we can understand what is the very heart of these Vedas. As Shri Krishna himself speaks in Bhagavad Gita, Vedesya Sarver Ahameva Vedya. And we can hear from the Vedas that the highest, topmost perfection of life is to attain the unflinching love for Krishna, Krishna Prema. That is all hidden in the Vedas. Ultimately, the Vedas are glorifying the ultimate perfection of loving Krishna. And love, when we talk of love, love is a verb. Verb means, in Sanskrit, verb means kriya, and kriya means action. So verb means there is action. So by real practical activity, the state of the heart is known. So although bhakti is internal, and we say that Krishna is bhavagrahi, Krishna takes the bhava, but the manifestation of bhakti, is vividly described in the scriptures, so that we rise beyond our mental platform. We can't be just thinking that love is the ultimate perfection, but what is that love and how it is manifested by the devotees? This is very powerfully described in these verses, and by Srila Prabhupada disciples in the purports, and also by intense, sincere prayers of Srila Sridhar Swami, which is directly in his commentary to every verse. He's offering prayers. He's not just explaining the verse, but he's literally pouring out his heartfelt prayers, rephrasing that verse into the prayers, and making it much more intense in devotion. So through all these translations, these purports, and these prayers, we can see that there is a tangible action in a life of a perfected soul. So this is the final essence of all the Vedas, these prayers. And what is this conclusion in these 3 verses? Yesterday, His Grace Damodar Prabhu gave such an intense, beautiful class, and very intense verse, where the Vedas personified as explaining that how everyone in this world is trying to control their mind. The mind is like an impetuous horse that even persons who have regulated their senses and breath cannot control. So it is so difficult to control mind. But and practically all the Vedas, so many mantras and so many assuras are meant so to control mind only. But here the essence here the Vedas are giving is that those in this world who try to tame uncontrolled mind, but who abandon the feet of their spiritual master, encounter hundreds of obstacles in their cultivation of various distressful practice. So without the mercy of the spiritual master, it is not possible. Whereas in the purport we also saw the verse which explains about how if there is just like there is an able captain in a ship, then the ship can go very powerfully. Similarly, if there is a spiritual master in one's life and one is sincerely dedicated, then one can overcome all the problems. In 7th Canto, 15th chapter, Narad Muni describing so many different ways how to conquer different enemies. He says like sankalpa kama, how you can overcome lust by sankalpa, and like that, so many different things. And finally, he goes on to say that if someone takes shelter of the spiritual master, then one can overcome all the obstacles. So, and that is what these Vedas are glorifying. So first is Guru, and then in this text number 34 is talking about taking shelter of, so first taking shelter of Guru, then taking shelter of Krishna, and text number 35 talking of taking shelter of Vaishnavas. And hence we can see that the conclusion of all the scriptures is to take shelter of Hari, Guru, Vaishnavas. So beautifully described in these 3 verses. This is the essence, so clear words, and how clearly they are speaking. And hence to serve, satisfy and please Hari, Guru and Vaishnava. Once I was talking to Radheshyam and telling, when he came to Durga Puja camp, I was telling him it was such a wonderful camp and how you explained everything. And then Vaishnava immediately said yes, because the essence of everything you can summarize in one line. That is to satisfy, to serve, satisfy and please Hari, Guru, Vaishnava. And you can see this is exactly what these 3 verses, text 33, 34, 35 are talking about. And it is, and this activity is not just on the mental platform, there are practical actions. So we'll try to understand that from these translation and purports and see what we can learn. And also we'll try to see some past tense. And whatever is practical, 20 minutes. Very. So the so here the verse explains that a devotee who has actually experienced a little bit taste in Krishna consciousness. And even in the purport it goes on to say it's not necessary a person who is in renounced order of life. Any devotee who has tasted Krishna consciousness, and in whatever state he is, it doesn't, external things doesn't matter in a spiritual life. External situation doesn't matter, but there is external manifestation. And that external situation doesn't matter. If anyone who has tasted, he will have no interest in meditating. He will not find any happiness, any satisfaction. Here in the purport says that he doesn't find satisfaction he finds, since he finds satisfaction in the Supreme Lord, so he doesn't find any happiness in attraction of the material things. So that is what happens to him. So that is one of the symptoms. So in the purport it is explained, devotional service to Lord Vishnu is considered pure when one's sole desire is to please the Lord. Situated in that perfect consciousness, a Vaishnava has no further interest in the worldly gains and is thus excused from any obligation to perform ritual, sacrifice and follow the austere practices of yoga. So we can see how much closely we are coming to pure devotional service, means how much we are not feeling interest in the so-called worldly success mentioned here. And all these words are relevant for everyone. Right? The translation in the purport, it is also explained here that the items of Shrutis mentioned here are all measures of worldly success. So a devotee is not interested in worldly success. More he is becoming ecstatic in the success of the pleasure of Krishna, pleasure of Guru. The mission of Krishna and Guru is becoming success. That is becoming his more and more success. His focus in life is becoming more on what is giving happiness to Guru and Krishna, and not on the worldly things like how much swajana, how my servants, the translation is says servants, Atma, my body, how much I am looking very attractive, Sutta, proud of one's own children. Even for sannyasis there can be children, brahmacharis there can be children. For anyone, any children, or dara, an attractive and competent spouse, how competent, materially competence, people we have. Dhanam is something which is needed for everyone. So how much wealth I have now, accumulated. Okay, now I am earning so much, I am getting so much. So how much we are actually affected by these kinds of success. Dham, prestigious residence, how much nice place I have to live. Shri Nimai Gauranga Bhagwan ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So much these things, these things are considered as a parameter of success, right? So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam class every day helps us give us right parameters of success. Right? So these parameters are so powerfully condemned by the personified Vedas. That these are not parameters. Dhanam, dhama, prestigious residence. People in this world, we can see how much these worldly success. So one may discuss this from Karmakandiya perspective, but we can see, people in this world today may not even understand ye karma kanda hota hai. But everyone we can see is very much attached, and so much people consider this as to be real success of life. Someone having, these things as to be real success. We'll try to see if time permits. We'll see from Chaitanya Bhagavat, a very beautiful discussion on this topic of what is real success, what are the parameters of real success. But we can see, in essence, we can see here that these are not, we cannot consider, someone is earning a lot of wealth means he's a lot of kripa, Bhagavan ka bahut kripa aa gaya. Rather, we have to understand that devotion or a devotee, how he is progressing is not determined by how much followers he has, how much Like yesterday I was hearing a lecture by Radhana Swami Maharaj. He was making a point that he was telling about in Shiva Sangan, when the Sataprahariya Leela is going on, at that time there is one devotee named Dukhi, unknown devotee, one Mataji, and Maharaj is explaining there that she don't have some special beauty. She is just unknown person, and her name is Dukhi itself means her family must be very very distressed. That's why people sometimes keep the name like this, so that already Dukhi means the miserable one. So already people will consider ये बेचारी दुखी है, इसके ऊपर तो कृपा करना चाहिए. So no one will put a bad eye on her. So like that, she must be like one of the most insignificant personality in the whole place. So she was happy performing devotional service. So Maharaj is making point, that it doesn't require someone to build hundreds of temples or to have thousands of disciples to be able to be recognized by the Lord. One is recognized by the Lord if one has simple, humble attitude to serve, and he is exhibiting that attitude by practical service. It's not just in the heart. There's very practical actions. So she is arranging the pots and trying to serve the devotees, trying to please the devotees, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is attracted by that, right? And immediately Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is catching, and telling that who is she, and Shiva says her name is Dukhi. He says, Dukhi, this name doesn't fit in my heart. Her name is Sukhi from today. And he gives him ecstatic love of God, which is very rare even for the great sages, even for the demigods, whose wealth is much higher, whose prestige and activities are much powerful. But he gets that. She gets that highest perfection of life. So point is that these things are not parameter of success. And on daily basis, when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, this is what should purify. This is a purification of heart. When we actually start to understand what is the parameter. So there's Dhama, prestigious residence, Dhara, holding of land. मेरे पास अभी कितना जमीन आ गया है. Health and strength. Sometimes one may be thinking, okay, good health means that is success. No, not necessary. Like, good health is not a necessary a parameter, and that doesn't need for performing devotional service also. Like just like recently one devotee met me, and he is going through some serious health crisis, a lot of health problems. Saying, bro, I have some serious health problem. Then I'm saying, okay, you have a health problem. Do you have a health problem like His Holiness Japatak Swami Maharaj? Is there any part of your body paralyzed? So actually, we may say many things, but if we try to see the example of the Acharyas, obviously we can't imitate, but we can take inspiration that, okay, here is a person having such crisis, he's happily, ecstatically performing devotional service. Maybe I can take inspiration, and maybe I should not give excuses for small problems at least. I cannot imitate, but I can try to follow in the footsteps of these Acharyas. So this is not the parameter of success. If I've developed a lot of good health, and the success is Krishna, Ratha, translation is cars and other vehicles. Sometimes we feel if we have our own vehicle, it would be so nice. That's not parameter of success. If it comes, fine, use in Krishna service. Doesn't come, okay, do service. Krishna is not interested in these things. So, but one who has begun to experience the ecstasy of devotional service, losing all attraction for these things, since he finds real satisfaction in Supreme Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, who enjoys by sharing his own pleasure with his servitors. So, a devotee is ecstatic, he is ecstatic in trying to serve Krishna, and whatever little or big, whatever way he has been given opportunity. So, this is so next line is very important. We are free to choose the course of our life. We can either dedicate our body, mind, words, talents and wealth to the glory of Lord, or else we can ignore him and struggle instead for our personal happiness. Very, very important and instructive statement. From this purport we can, each and every one of us in whatever state of life, we can see that for what am I struggling so hard? Everyone dedicates. There's no one in this creation who doesn't do anything. Everyone is working hard and dedicating their energy, time, body, mind, words, talents and wealth. 5 things are mentioned. Right, whatever talents you have, whatever wealth you have, body, everything is getting used. But for what? The only question has to be asked, for what? So we are free to choose. We have to dedicate. We have to commit ourselves, fully to dedicate our life. Now, only question is for what? And there are only these 2 options. Either for Krishna or for self. For sense gratification, for personal happiness. And actually, the personal happiness, the next line it says, the second path leads to life of slavery to sex and ambition. Actually, there's nothing like personal happiness in that life, because it's all about bodily sense gratification when we are not the body. When you say personal, means I'm not this body, the person. So try to give a lot of ambition, slavery of ambition. मेरे को ये करके दिखाना है, क्यों करना है, बस करना है, मेरे को ये सबको दिखा देना है कि मैं भी कर सकता हूँ, मैं किसी से कम नहीं हूँ. Just for that purpose one is working so hard. Right? There's no logical reason. From maintenance point of view, there is ample. From everything very easily can be taken care of. No, but still I want to do because I want to show. So that kind of ambition. So one becomes slave. Here it is said. The second part leads to slavery of sex and ambition. Just I want to enjoy and I want to gross or settle. Ambition is like settle in that. In which the soul never feels real satisfaction but instead suffers continually. So this is not, this is only the path of suffering. So that's why a devotee intelligently should introspect. There's an important point to introspect that for what I am working very hard. If it is for pleasure of Krishna, we'll find that that path is so blissful, and it's a path where it's also a path which may have difficulty for the false ego sometimes, because sometimes the path of pleasing Krishna may be a path where we may have to take a very humble role, we have to take a very simple role, and we have to cooperate with devotees. It may not be very pleasing to false ego, but it is very, very pleasing to Krishna and very, very pleasing to our own self. Ultimately, we will be very happy. Right? If we take a simple, sweet path of service to Krishna, whereas a path where we want to just show ourselves and prove and accumulate all these assets and show to the world how I am so great. This path leads to more. One may become more lonely only, right? And there's no personal satisfaction which one was working hard for, and ultimately he lost the real goal, that is pleasure of Krishna. So in that way, Vedas are telling that those who get attraction for you, for them it becomes very easy. Right? So dedication is compulsory. So we dedicate our intelligence for service of Guru. Just like in this morning Guru Puja we sing Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Kuriya Aikya Aruna Kari Hamane Asha. So that is one dedicates to fulfill the instructions of spiritual master. Right? Shri Guru Sarane Rati Ehi Se Uttama Gati. Je Prasade Pure Sarvasha. If one works very sincerely, becomes attached to fulfilling the instructions of Guru, by mercy of Guru, all one's asha, now one's asha practically becomes serving Guru. So all those ashas becomes fulfilled by mercy of Guru. So in that way, a devotee is fully satisfied in pleasing Guru. And the next verse, text 35, talks about another important thing, where it says that a devotee prefers, I'll just focus on one point because time is limited and there are many wonderful things said here. One of the points which is mentioned here is that how a devotee actually where he lives, that's the point. Okay, we'll focus on that point only. He says that, I'll read just put 2 lines. The qualification of an aspiring sage is that he has learned about the absolute truth from the standard authorities and developed a sober mood of renunciation. So which is in the previous verse. He's got attached to now Krishna, and because of that attachment to Krishna, he is no more attached to the worldly things, and he doesn't consider that to be a real success. Right? So now where does he live? To develop his capacity for discriminating between the important from the unimportant, such a person often wanders from one holy site to another, taking advantage of the association of great souls who frequent or reside in these places. So this devotee, so first thing is dedicates his life, and second point is that he lives in holy places, right? And Srila Prabhupada always explained that Srila Prabhupada has made. Srila Prabhupada didn't just told that okay, go to holy places. That's very good. We can travel to holy places. But Srila Prabhupada created holy places. Wherever Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet fell, that became holy place. Right? And then Srila Prabhupada installed the deities, and Srila Prabhupada instructed other devotees, his wonderful, pure devotee disciples to also install the deities. So deities come, that becomes a holy place, right? That becomes a holy town. And especially Calcutta is a super holy place, being Srila Prabhupada's birthplace, right? So where to reside is, in simple words, if we say the holy place, that is the temple of the Lord, right? So if we just conclude and combine the two verses very sincerely, then it simply means a devotee exhibits his love, right? What are symptoms of love and dedication? By committing and dedicating his body, mind, words, talent, and wealth to the service of the Lord in the temple of the Lord. That is in the association of devotees. In whatever ashrama, an external position. That doesn't matter. That is only external. But his commitment and dedication is only for service of the Lord, and that service he renders in association of devotees, with the devotees, in cooperation, in loving, in humility. Right? So that is the conclusion in simple words. Right? And then the last one small discussion we can also have, that how do we develop this kind of dedication, what the Vedas are telling us. So which also answer is given in this purport itself. So which is in the purport it is Gopal Tapani Upanishad is quoted. So here it is explained that devotional service is the process of worshipping Supreme Lord. It consists of fixing one's mind upon Him by becoming disinterested in material designation, both in this life and in the next. Okay. Okay, there is the next purport. There it says, okay, so I'm getting where that point was. Okay, it is in the prayers of Sridhar Swami. It's in the prayers of Sridhar Swami, the last part of the purport of 35th verse, where Sridhar Swami is saying, this is also the conclusion of this purport. He is saying, "My dear Lord, when will I give up all sense gratification and engage incessantly in meditating upon you?" So this is the goal. The goal of life is, how can I give up sense gratification and engage in incessantly meditating upon you? And when will I take up residence in the hermitages of saintly devotees, free from false pride? Like Sridhar Swami very nicely summarizes everything in his beautiful prayers, in every verse. And then I will become fully immersed in an inundation of nectar pouring from the devotee's lotus mouth as they chant sacred narrations about you. So this is the way. The way is to hear Krishna Gatha from devotees. So there is one beautiful verse with which we would like to conclude, which explains how we can actually develop this kind of dedication, attachment to Krishna. Actually, Parikshit Maharaj is explaining. Parikshit Maharaj is Shravan Acharya. He is the Acharya of the process of Shravanam, and he is explaining how we can hear. Ultimately, the process how we can become so attracted to Krishna and want to dedicate ourselves, with body, mind, words, talents, and wealth and everything to Krishna, is by whenever heart is attracted to hearing about Krishna. But how to hear about Krishna, so that actually it becomes so effective. In our heart Krishna is manifested. That is explained by Parikshit Maharaj, Second Canto, chapter 8, text number 4, and text number 5 and text number 6. 3 verses are there, but try to focus on 4 and 5. So text number 4 it says, Shanvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grantas Cha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirgena Bhagwan Vishate Hri. So here he says that someone who hears, Shranvata, one who hears, Shraddhaya. Shraddhaya means, in general Shraddhaya means faith, but Srila Prabhupada in word to word meaning says Shraddhaya means in earnestness, a great feeling of urgency. Someone who's able to understand his precarious situation. And how to develop that urgency also we were discussing when we understood that we can develop urgency by hearing. If we hear from pure devotees about our precarious situation, when we hear from our mind, we may become depressed. But when we hear from devotees and scriptures, then we can understand our pitiable situation and we can become more eager. So earnestness, then Shraddhaya, a great feeling of great urgency. Nityam, second it says Nityam means always, or purpose translates as regularly. So at least regularly, that means, and Prabhupada says in the purport about daily, right? So that means daily. Regularly doesn't mean once in a week. Daily. If we with urgency, daily, and then third thing it says, Grantas cha swacheshtitam. That is taking the matter very seriously. It's Prabhupada's translation. Always taking the matter very seriously. That means always whenever we are hearing, we take the matter very seriously. ये बहुत important subject matter है. How to apply, how to put in my life. Now that the class is over, reading is over, and we are busy with other things. But what I can do now? How can I put it in my life? So very seriously, swacheshtitam. Someone hears like this, with this kind of understanding. Then Parikshit Maharaj is saying, he is a Shravanacharya. He can teach us how to hear. He's saying, Kalena na ati dirghena. It will not take much time. Na ati dirghena. Within a short time, Prabhupada says, within a short time, Bhagwan Vishate Hri. Krishna will manifest in his heart. Prabhupada obviously explained the purport that Krishna is already there in the heart of the devotee, but he becomes manifested. He is unmanifest, but he will manifest it for one who hears sincerely like this. And then the next verse he says that Pravishta Kandra Randrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna Sharilasya Yatha Sharat. In that way, the sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, enters into the heart of self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material associations such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. In that way, Krishna Katha, heard with such intensity, enters, this Krishna Katha cleanses the heart completely of all the dirty things. And in that way, anyways, one has to be dedicated. In that way, one will not be, once he is interested in such Krishna Katha, once there is no interest in dedication to all these, Swajana, Dhana, Dhama, and all these things, then all those attractions is gone, and then naturally one's life will be perfected, that he can commit and fully dedicate his body, mind, energy, his words, his actions, his talents, his wealth, everything for service of the Supreme Lord, for the pleasure of Krishna by pleasing the spiritual master and the devotees. Thank you very much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.